Hey, welcome to BingeBar. Today we are going to do something a little bit different and talk about the Easter eggs and hidden messages found in many of the MLS logos. Many people don't realize that there's actually a lot that goes into making an MLS logo, and unfortunately a lot of it is unseen. Until today. Brace yourself, because some of these Easter eggs are shocking, to say the least. Orlando City, one of the most notable and cleanest badges in the MLS, has a lion front and center. Or does it? If you look closely, there's 21 flares around the lion's mane, and this is no coincidence. This represents their inauguration as the 21st team in the MLS, or at least it would have been if Chivas USA had unfolded a year prior. Also, may I add, the lion's mane is in the shape of a sun, and Florida's nickname is the Sunshine State. Now, I want you to look really closely for this one. There seems to be some weird, white discoloration above the lion's head. This isn't no ordinary design, but a subtle crown evoking royalty and excellence, something that Orlando has not shown thus far. So the main takeaway is, the next time you see a lion, look again. Next up, NYCFC. This one is very simple but also very complex. What these designers did was take an ordinary something and turn it into something extraordinary. Now, I can tell you're looking for the secret, but you won't find it, because of course, you're not really looking. Look at the pentagons closely. Like, really closely. What could they possibly mean? Well, after much debate and scholarly research, they represent the 5 boroughs of NYCFC. But that's not all. They also mimic the final subway token used in New York City. Next up, the Red Bulls, NYCFC's crosstown rivals, or should I say, cross-state rivals. This one is actually very simple. You guys have probably already guessed it. The trophy in the middle of the New York Red Bulls logo represents how many MLS Cups they've won, being 0. Now let's head over to the Mid-South and discuss FC Dallas's badge. This is probably one of my favorite Easter eggs on the list. Look closely at the bull's head. There you'll find a red flame, not because it symbolizes Avatar: The Last Airbender, but because it symbolizes the Dallas burn days. That's the only shred of evidence left pertaining to the Dallas burn. Also, the star and the color palette pay homage to the ones represented on the Texas state flag. Now onto the Portland Timbers. Obviously, the axe pays homage to the Pacific Northwest logging industry, as loggers traditionally used axes to cut down trees, now made obsolete with the invention of the chainsaw. Scan your eyes under the axe's head, and here you'll find 3 diagonal yellow lines. What could this possibly mean? Is it mainly for aesthetic pleasure, or is there a deeper, more sinister meaning? Well, the lines represent the 3 main eras that the Timbers had played in, being the old 70s USL, 2000s USL, and of course, the MLS. On to New England Revolution, which is the oldest logo on this list, the only logo that has not been changed or altered since 1996. Now being the oldest, one would think there is the most meaning, but one would be wrong. Of course, the logo is highly familiar and representative of the USA flag, but the stars in the shape of a soccer ball are representative of something else. Obviously, this ball is not on the real United States flag, and for good reason. This is because the stars represent the 6 states of New England, being Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. Since we just talked about the oldest logo, let's now talk about the worst, the Chicago Fire. Many people were opposed, and still are, to the rebranding of the Chicago Fire logo. Although the logo is outright ugly, there's a cool meaning behind it. The triangles aren't just some random geometric shaped pattern, but they represent so much more. The 3 triangles at the bottom represent the city that burned down in 1871, and the 3 triangles at the top represent the city that rose from the ashes. Pretty cool concept. Now onto the Columbus Crew, which has 2 little Easter eggs hidden inside. If you look closely with intent, the shield inside of the logo with the number 96 is the exact same shape as the original logo. Also, the 9 stripes inside the logo are meant to represent the 9 other chartered teams, along with Columbus. Now onto another chartered team, being the Los Angeles Galaxy. There is only one hidden meaning on the badge, being the star-like projection at the top. And no, it is not a star. It is a geyser, an extremely luminous active galactic nucleus. This geyser can also be found on the 1957 seal of Los Angeles County and on the flag of the city, as well as in space. Now onto LA's predecessor, LAFC. Really, not much to say about this logo except the letter A is trimmed with a 4-feathered wing. The 4 feathers don't mean anything, but the wing is a homage to LA being nicknamed the City of Angels. You know what? While we're in the state of California, let's dissect the San Jose Earthquakes logo. 6 blue geometric figures to the right of the logo can be found. According to the designer's concept, they symbolize the dislocated tectonic plates that are all too known to the San Jose residents. Also, the 1974, titled in red lettering, pays homage to the San Jose Earthquakes of the NASL era, because their colors were also red. Heading west, we have Minnesota United. As you can see, there's a loon in the center. Or is there? This isn't your average loon. Loons of this size normally have up to 8,000 feathers, but look closely and you'll only find 11. A dead giveaway that there must be a deeper meaning. Each feather represents a player on the pitch. Also, the blue that crosses diagonally represents the Mississippi River. Either side of the loon represents the cities of St. Paul and Minneapolis. Sporting Kansas City, another logo that has the same 2 Easter eggs. The less prominent line through SKC's badge represents the Kansas and Missouri border, and the 11 blue and pale blue lines represent the players on the pitch. Looking back, Minnesota definitely took inspiration from Sporting Kansas City and ran with it. Or maybe, just maybe, hear me out, did Minnesota United have the Easter egg first? Food for thought. Now on to the Houston Dynamo, whose name is an Easter egg in itself. Despite common belief, the word dynamo doesn't refer to the word dynamite, but is rather a shortening for a dynamo electric machine, which refers to the city's energy-based industrial income. The bottom part of the Houston Dynamo logo features a white star, which was inherited from the Houston 1836 logo as a tribute to the state flag of Texas. The same thing can be found on FC Dallas's logo, by the way. Atlanta United have a great team, a great ownership, but in my eyes, a horrible logo. It's really things that you can see that make this a subpar logo, because there's not a lot. The only hidden meaning behind this logo is the black stripes that can be found in the center. The stripes are a nod to Atlanta as a railroad town. Nothing more, nothing less. Now onto a team that has a little more history, DC United. The stars and bars found on the logo are taken straight from the DC flag, but originate with the Washington family crest and create an unbreakable bond with the district while instilling a sense of place. Also, not to be forgotten, the stars represent the region's 3 jurisdictions. Now onto a relatively new logo, FC Cincinnati. I'm just gonna get straight to the point with this one. The wing found on the line has 3 feathers, 1 for each season played in the USL before joining the MLS. This mythological creature is called a Shido. Also, the lion's tail is curved to look like a C, which, you guessed it, stands for Cincinnati. Next up, the Philadelphia Union, and this logo has a lot to unpack. First off, there are 13 gold stars on a navy blue ring, and each of these stars represent one of the 13 American colonies. This gold and navy blue color scheme of the Philadelphia Union represent the primary colors of the Continental Army's uniforms during the American Revolutionary War. Also, the snake pays homage to a political cartoon by Benjamin Franklin that was published on May 8, 1754, titled, "Don't Tread on Me." As you can see, there's a lot of history that went into the making of the Union's badge. Really, the only thing that the owners cared about. Now onto the north with the Montreal Impact. As you can see, there are 4 stars that lie within the logo. These stars represent the 4 original settlers of Montreal, as illustrated on the flag of the city. These settlers being the French, the English, the Irish, and the Scots. Head over a little due south and we'll find the Toronto FC. Not much to say here, or is there? I always thought that they were just random pentagon-shaped shapes above the logo, but I was wrong, and likely you were too. These shapes are meant to form a maple leaf. A very poorly drawn maple leaf, but a maple leaf nonetheless. Now onto the last 2 and the new kids on the block. First off, Nashville. This is up there with the Chicago Fire as one of the worst logos in the league, and doesn't even have a cool meaning. Essentially, the little bars on the sides of the N are meant to resemble the visualization of a sound wave because Nashville is the music city. And finally, to the moment we've been waiting for, and the most probable reason of why you clicked on this video, Inter Miami. Right off the bat, the flamingo's legs look a little off. This is because one leg of each bird is straightened, and the second is crossed, which forms the letter M for Miami. Now, look above the flamingo and you'll see a sun with 7 rays. The rays symbolize the 7 seas that bring people to Miami from the 7 continents, and the sun represents the awesome sunsets found on the Miami beach. You know, this all seems great and true, but is it really? I'd like to believe there's an even deeper meaning to all of this, and I'm gonna bring out the Bible for this one. 7 rays. What else could this mean? That question has wrapped around my head for months now, and I think I finally came up with an answer. To find the answer, we must look to the New Testament, and within it you find the 7 deadly sins. I know this is a lot to swallow, and a lot to take in, but is David Beckham repenting for his sins? Is Inter Miami based off of a sinful framework? Is there a higher being running the Inter Miami franchise? Is David Beckham the son of God? And to all these questions, I really don't know, nor does anybody for that matter. I'd like to leave this video off on a quote by Chris Van Allsburg from the Polar Express. Seeing is believing, but sometimes the most real things in the world are the things we can't see. Thank you. Well, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content. Comment below if you want to see a part 2. Thank you. We'll see you next time.